the P. Diddy's arrest was last night.
Yeah.
His charging documents were unsealed right before we went on air, and they include trafficking, transporting to engage in prostitution, racketeering, conspiracy. His attorney says he will not plead guilty to all of them.
Stevie J should be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him. Or for Justin Bieber alone.
This is someone who destroyed my life.
Diddy's in jail, and now the blame game has started. In a shocking turn, Diddy is pointing the finger at Jay-Z, claiming he's behind his arrest. Sounds wild, right? Jay-Z, who used to be close with Diddy, has stayed completely quiet since the rumors started swirling. Now, people are wondering, did Jay stay silent to stay out of it, or could he really be the one responsible for getting Diddy locked up?
Well, Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, behind bars right now at the Metropolitan Detention Center. And new today, he is under suicide watch. So the place where he's locked up is getting a lot of attention, as you can imagine. The MDC is the only federal jail in New York City.
It's known for violence, poor conditions, and a string of celebrity detainees. And Diddy's attorneys want him out. Yasmin Vesuvian has more.
From his $48 million Miami mansion to hell on earth where chaos reigns. Just some of the words used to describe the Metropolitan Detention Center where Sean Diddy Combs is now being held without bail after pleading not guilty to trafficking and racketeering charges.
Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
He is not the first high-profile inmate to pass through these walls. Ghislaine Maxwell, R. Kelly, Pharma Bro, Martin Shkreli, and crypto fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried, all as they waited for their federal criminal trials, called this jail home. But the conditions of the prison are far from homey, notoriously described as, quote, dreadful, as one judge put it. Some on the bench have even moved away from sending nonviolent defendants there. In April, a group of detainees that prosecutors said were MS-13 gang members in court documents stabbed an inmate 44 times in an attack caught on camera. 2 shivs were recovered from the attack. You see them here. The victim survived. And in the last 3 years alone, 4 inmates have died by suicide. And violence is not the only issue. Accusations of medical neglect, staffing shortages, smuggling of drugs, some allegedly facilitated by employees. At least 6 staff members charged with crimes in the last 5 years, according to the AP. Some accused of accepting bribes and providing contraband.
I've had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Lance A. Clark is a federal defense attorney who's been there many times.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
Occupy the seats
Until they get heat.
In the winter of 2019, protests over a power outage left inmates without light or heat for a week in the cold.
I understand how cold it must be in those cells, and not to have any electricity, any lights, and to not be able to communicate with your family is just inhumane.
The prison has about 1,200 detainees and is the only federal prison in the nation's largest city. The DOJ shut down New York City's other federal jail, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, back in 2021, 2 years after Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide there. A Bureau of Prisons spokesman telling NBC News they, quote, take seriously addressing the staffing and other challenges at MDC Brooklyn, adding the director appointed an urgent action team and they've increased staffing.
MDC has historically had tremendous problems, and the problems aren't resolved.
Combs' lawyers originally hoping he could await trial under house arrest at his mansion, now arguing for him to be moved to a prison in New Jersey in the lead up to this trial, citing the prison's poor conditions, violence, and deaths. On Wednesday, his lawyer said he was being held in a special housing unit with an extra level of security.
Just in, a second judge has denied bail to Sean Diddy Combs.
So the judge cited the possibility that Combs could tamper with witnesses as he faces trafficking and racketeering charges. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Hip-hop star Sean Diddy Combs is back in a Manhattan federal courthouse today, fighting to be released on bail. His attorney writing in a letter to the court Wednesday that Combs is eminently trustworthy and should be released on a $50 million bond. The rapper offering to secure the bond with his $48 million Miami home, and the bond would be co-signed with his mother, sister, 3 adult sons, and mothers of his 2 daughters. Combs was arrested Monday, and sources tell ABC News he has not been incarcerated with the general prison population. A judge denied him bail Tuesday after expressing concern that Diddy's alleged crimes occurred behind closed doors, with law enforcement unable to monitor his behavior.
Someone's presumed innocent, so you're presumed that you get bail. Not in this kind of crime. In this kind of crime, bail is not presumed. Furthermore, you've got the problem that he's accused of intimidating witnesses, of trying to interfere with the investigation. None of that helps him in his argument that he should get bail.
Combs pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering and trafficking. A 14-page indictment alleges Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of activity with male prostitutes called freak-offs. Prosecutors allege he subjected young women to violence, use of firearms, threats, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and abuse.
Between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Combs' attorney telling CNN those so-called freak-offs were consensual.
It was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there.
Diddy's attorney is saying to the court that Combs has never evaded or run from a challenge and will not start now. If Diddy is convicted of his alleged crimes, he faces decades.
It gets even juicier. While Diddy insists Jay-Z played a part, the truth is the feds had plenty of evidence to arrest him on their own. No need for outside influence. And now, with Diddy behind bars, more people are stepping forward with even more jaw-dropping details.
All right, we're getting into the debrief and the very latest on Sean Diddy Combs' arrest on trafficking crimes. TMZ is reporting that at least 2 new people plan to cooperate with the feds, and they're willing to testify in front of the grand jury.
All right, joining us now with the details, Charles Latabodier, TMZ executive producer. Charles, thanks so much for being here with us. Obviously, it's been a very busy week in this case. What's the latest with the investigation?
Yes, Steve and Bianca, as U.S. Attorney Damian Williams promised earlier this week, he said this is an ongoing investigation and that they will be speaking to more people. We found out that these 2 individuals, and we have actually spoken to one of them. They are both currently. One of them says that they had an interaction with Diddy in 2014. And they are willing to tell the feds what they know about that interaction. And another one said that they are willing, and not only willing, but have been subpoenaed to go before the grand jury. So the second person could end up going before the grand jury. At this stage, they are just going to be interviewed by prosecutors. Clearly, they're trying to figure out what these other witnesses know and how they can help them convict Diddy, and that's the name of the game at this point for the feds.
Yeah.
The question is if there is going to be a jury, because yesterday you reported that a former warden had a warning for Diddy that he should watch his back in prison.
Yeah. Look, this is, he's going to be in this at Brooklyn, MDC Brooklyn. Who knows? It could be up to a year before this trial begins. And obviously, they're going to be, his attorneys have said that they're going to try to get him moved to a different facility. But for now, he's in there. And what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter. And that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's a situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen. So they're going out of the way to make sure that doesn't happen. He is in a really, can you imagine like the lap of luxury that Diddy's been used to for decades now? And then just like that, he is now in this jail. And unless they can get him bail at some point, he's going to be behind bars for
for sure.
a long time.
You know, just briefly, what's going on behind the scenes in Hollywood? All these people who partied with him, who might be on these hidden tapes. What level of panic are you hearing from all these people we know who associated with him over the years?
I will tell you, Steve, we are not hearing any panic because no one, and this has been true since the raids, really. Nobody who we know, people who we know Diddy. We've seen them at his parties, and I'm not talking about the freak-offs. I mean, we haven't seen any of that video, though. Remember, the feds say they do have video that they seized during the raids from those freak-offs, so they know who the celebrities are if they're already involved in the freak-offs. But we've seen plenty of video over the years of Diddy's very public parties, and all of those people, you know, they're not saying anything. They haven't for months. And yes, to your point, there certainly got to be people who are nervous about getting a call from the U.S. Attorney's Office, whether it be to come in as a witness, whether it be just to be interviewed to find out what they know, or go before the grand jury, which is something nobody wants to do. They all want to be away from this case as much as possible.
I feel like we're certainly just scratching the surface on this case. Let's talk about something else happening right now. You're reporting today that Lady Gaga's dad just endorsed Trump, calling him pure and a patriot. Was this surprising to you as you guys were talking about this today?
It was definitely surprising. Joe Germanata, or as we've been calling him here in the office, Daddy Gaga, went on Fox and Friends this morning and very full-throatedly endorsed former President Trump and spoke about why he is endorsing him. He acknowledged that, in his word, the word he used was, he acknowledged that Trump is abrasive, but he just prefers his policies. He said, I'm not voting for a person, I'm voting for the policy. And he felt like New York has gone downhill while Joe Biden was in the White House, and he thinks that Trump should be back there. You can tell he is not comfortable with some of the things that Trump says or does, but it's about policy for him. It was weird because we all know that Lady Gaga is very liberal, and while she has not endorsed Kamala Harris yet, she did full-heartedly endorse Joe Biden, and we're expecting at some point she will do that for Harris and Walz.
Yeah, as of right now, I think all she's done is like the post from Taylor Swift or whatever.
The family dinners are going to get interesting with them.
Exactly.
Imagine Thanksgiving there after the election.
It's an American story at this point, that's for sure. That's right,
That's the truth.
All right, very well, Charles. We appreciate all the info. Thanks so much.
One of the key people speaking out is a rapper who was locked up back in '99 for that infamous shooting incident involving J-Lo.
Former rapper Moses Shine Barrow is speaking out in the wake of Sean Diddy Combs' arrest and federal indictment. Once Diddy's bad boy protege, Moses served nearly a decade in prison for a 1999 nightclub shooting in New York, where 3 people were injured. Diddy attended a party at the club with his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez and had also been arrested and accused of being involved in the shooting. However, during his trial, he said he fired the gun in self-defense and was acquitted of all charges. J-Lo was also arrested at the scene and was held for about 14 hours, but was released without being charged. Moses, who is now the leader of the opposition in the Belize House of Representatives, claims he took the fall for Diddy and is now reflecting on his incarceration, calling Diddy someone who, quote, destroyed my life.